This video is to help you complete the Gizmo Senses summative. So this Google Doc looks like this. You will need to open the Gizmo Senses. To open the Gizmo Senses, usually if you click on this, it would work. But if it doesn't work on your Chromebook, then I would suggest that you would go to Clever and then scroll down to Gizmos. And make sure that you log in, please. Okay, so if I log out here, make sure that you log in, and you should have your username and password saved already. Click on the green box. That way you would have more than 5 minutes to use this Gizmo. All right, so launching it. Here's the Gizmo. This is how the Gizmo looks like. So I would suggest that you would go do it side by side. That way you can see the Gizmo, and then you can see the Google Doc. All right, so here's the Google Doc, and here's the Gizmo. So the first prior knowledge questions, fill it out. The question here is, what are the different types of information that your body can detect from the outside world? And that is what you see, what you taste, what you hear, what you smell, and what you touch. And then the second one asks, what organs does your body use to collect the information described in the last question? So with you seeing, you use your eye. With you tasting, you use your tongue. With you hearing, you use your ear. And with you smelling, you use your nose. And with you touching, you use your skin and usually your fingers. All right, so pause this video and fill out your prior knowledge questions. For the Gizmo warm-up, it's really important for you to follow the prompts that is in the Gizmo warm-up. So it's very important that you read the instructions. So it says here for you to drag the apple slice into the white stimulus box and drag the eye into the sense organ box. So we're dragging the apple and we're dragging the eye, and then click play. All right, and if you need to do it again, click on the reset button and then click play again. Again, make sure you read these things. This will be helpful. And the question here is, what do you observe? So what you observed here is, right, a line goes through from the eyeball to the brain, and it's called the neural pathway. And then a yellow dot goes from the eyeball all the way to the brain. And then a green area lights up at the back of the brain. That's named the visual cortex. And then you know that the apple is being seen by the eye because the Gizmo simulation shows the words look and apple. All right, so that's what you write in for your what do you observe. For number 2, how do you know that the eye senses the apple? Type in look and apple. Type in that Gizmo shows up the words look and apple to show that the eye senses the apple. And then for number 3, it says here the neural pathway represents the nerves that connect the sense organ to the brain. What happens along the neural pathway when the eye sees the apple? You're just going to repeat what you said on number 1, which is a yellow dot goes along the yellow line called the neural pathway. Okay, that's what you type in. So pause it. And if you need to repeat this section of the video, repeat it. Fill out your Gizmo warm-up, numbers 1, 2, and 3. So on to activity A. Again, it's very important for you to read everything that's on the Google Doc. That way you will understand what is being asked of you. All right, so I'm not going to read this out loud because I'm expecting you to read it. I'm just going to go and show you how to manipulate the gizmo. So it says here, drag the apple into the stimulus box and the tongue in the sense organ. All right, so there's the apple, and I will replace the eye with the tongue. Okay, and I will click play. All right, and it asks you, what does the tongue detect? All right, so the tongue detects sweetness because Gizmo shows that it tastes sweet. Letter B, what happens along the neural pathway when the tongue detects the stimulus? Same thing, the neural pathway. There's a yellow dot that travels along the neural pathway. All right, and then it says here that the glowing dot represents transmission of a nerve impulse along the nerves that make the neural pathway. A nerve impulse is an electrical signal that travels from one nerve cell to another. So the yellow dot represents a nerve impulse. Letter C asks which part of the brain processes this signal. And according to the gizmo, the gustatory cortex lights up and it's in red. Okay, so type that in, gustatory cortex. For number 2, click reset, select the speaker for the stimulus and the ear. Okay, so here's the speaker and here's the ear. Okay, and then click play, and it asks which part of the brain detects the signal of the ear. And according to Gizmo, it is the auditory cortex. So type that in for 2A. 2B, what are the similarities between this path and the pathway in question 1? So this path is very similar to the pathway from the apple and the tongue. So they both have a nerve impulse represented by a yellow dot going along the neural pathway, which is represented by the yellow line. Okay, letter C, test other stimuli that produces sound. Are all these stimuli processed in the same area of the brain? So this is where you'll check things out. All right, so keeping with the ear as the sound, look for other stimulus and see if it's still the auditory cortex. So try that out. And you will find out that all stimuli that produce sound is processed by the same area of the brain, which is the auditory cortex. So your answer here would be yes, all stimuli that produce sound is processed by the auditory cortex. Okay, so pause this video and type in your answer. For number 3, this is where you're going to try different combinations and see what combinations process more than one area of the brain and what combinations process no areas of the brain at all. So trying things out, this will take time, but try things out. If you can find certain combinations that processes no area of the brain, or if there are processes, there's combinations that shows 2 areas of the brain. If there is a next in Gizmo, make sure that you click the word next so you can see the next step of the Gizmo. If you do choose something like this, and it says no thank you, that means that the simulation doesn't really process it correctly. So choose a different combination. All right. So pause this video, try the different combinations, and then type in your answer to both questions. Remember, number 3 has 2 questions. You have to answer both questions. All right, so number 4 is figuring out the regions of the brain. So this is where you'll find out what are the 5 regions of the brain that this simulation shows up. So for example, if I am doing the apple and the tongue, then it shows the gustatory cortex, which is red. To type in the your answer for number 4, you need to double click the orange box and it would show up the drawing, and double click the orange box again to be able to type in gustatory cortex. Please watch your spelling. Gustatory cortex. All right, and do the same thing for the rest of the 4 boxes. Okay. All right. Number 5. It says here, you are looking for the pin and the hand sense organ. Pin in the hand. And then the pin in the hand has a next button on it. So that means that you have to click on one pathway, and then you click next, and then click play again, so you can see the next pathway. All right, so it asks here, how are the 2 pathways different? So describe what happened with the first pathway, and then what happened with the second pathway. And then it asks again for 5B, it asks which pathway would occur faster and why is this advantageous. All right, so if you look at this, you will see that the pathway where it goes from the hand and back to the hand is faster than if you go to the next one, which goes from the hand to the brain. And it's advantageous. The pathway where it goes from the hand back to the hand is advantageous because it's called reflex, and it protects the person from getting hurt even more. Okay. All right. Let's try that again. All right, it's called reflex. Make sure that you read whatever Gizmo talks about. Okay, that'll make it easier for you to answer the questions correctly. All right, we're going to 13 minutes. Last one, number 6. Okay, select the ice cube in the hand and then click play. Which part of the brain processes hot and cold? Make sure that you read this, right? It is not the somatosensory cortex, because the somatosensory cortex is the one that processes the perception of feeling. What processes hot and cold is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is the one that processes hot and cold. Okay, and then if you click next and play again, the question here is what happens when the signal travels back to the hand, and the question is the hand shakes, produces a shivering motion. All right, so that's it for this Gizmo. I hope this video helped you. It's a little bit longer, but just pause, answer it, replay the video, just to make sure that you complete this summative.